Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and today we'll be discussing Alabama's Crimson Tide's football schedule for the 2024 season. Right now, Alabama has a lot more important things to focus on because, well, they're in the playoffs and they're going to play Michigan. And I think I will be covering the bowl games, not that far off actually. I'll be probably doing it this week, but let's cover the 2024 schedule because that's also an important thing to cover. But I'll do my full bowl stuff later on. And the one thing about Alabama is that they're going to have a lot of guys leaving. I know Clayton McKinstry's going to the draft. I know Dallas Turner's going to the draft. Those are some main guys, especially on the defensive side, that are going to be leaving. But offensively, the main guy, Jalen Milroe, is returning. That is a big thing for them because Milroe improved heavily throughout the year. I always had some faith in Milroe. I held out more faith than a lot of other people did whenever he was in the offseason. I said he should be the starter. Whenever he got benched in the USF game, I thought he should be starting still and give him more time. And they put him back in. Saban clearly made the right decision, and he made a very good improvement throughout the year. So that's very important that he's going to be coming back next year because it looks, with a lot of these matchups, you're going to probably need some good quarterback play to keep up with some of these offenses. So we'll discuss this. And keep in account that Alabama's going to reload. They always do. And I think this year's Alabama team is a very, very good team. I think next year's 2024 Alabama's team is going to be even better because there's a lot of guys like Caleb Downs, who's just a freshman. You have like Justice Haynes, he's just a freshman. Jalen Milroe's coming back. This offense is going to be very good, and your secondary is going to be very good, and the pass rush is always going to be good. So Bama's going to be a very scary team next year. So we'll discuss the teams that they're going to have to play, and maybe somebody can beat them. Maybe somebody can. First up, we're at home versus Western Kentucky. Easy start to the year. Just start off well. Go ahead and beat the Hilltoppers. Western Kentucky just had a very impressive bowl win. Come back down 28-0 against Old Dominion. So shout out to Western Kentucky. You have USF, who gave you more of a battle than a lot of SEC schools did, mainly Kentucky. Yeah, they were awful against Bama last year. I mean, technically this year. USF almost had the biggest upset in SEC history. That would have been interesting, but this is in Bryant-Denny Stadium. This should be an easy win for Alabama, and that's what I'm thinking from looking at it from this perspective. Like at this point. Then you have an early test on the road playing at Wisconsin. I remember about 5-6 years ago they played Wisconsin, maybe longer than that, and Bama won. So I'd expect Bama to win. Playing at Wisconsin is definitely not an easy place to play at, but this team Bama is notoriously the best team in the country in road games. The only thing that they have problems with is that they sometimes have a lot of penalties. And I don't think I have to worry about penalties against Wisconsin. There's probably not a lot of things Wisconsin is going to do to make them for the forced penalties on Alabama. Probably not a lot. Then you have a bye week, which is very important because after the bye week, you're playing Georgia. You're at home versus Georgia. It's a 7:30 game. It's the only time I think on here. Yeah, it's the only time on here that's officially out. Only game that's an official time. And Georgia will have Carson Beck back, but they'll have people like Brock Bowers gone. There's very likely a chance he's going to the draft. That's going to be tough for Georgia to be able to bounce back against them. And Bama's just notoriously good against Georgia. They're like 1-8. 8-1, 9-1. In the last 9 to 10 appearances they've had against them, the only loss was whenever John Mechie and Jameson Williams got hurt, and they still barely lost. So, yeah, I think Bama will have a very good chance in this one. It'll be fun to see, though. Bryant-Denny Stadium at night is very, very underrated. It's a very tough place to play at. I don't think Bama fans are crazy technically, but they're very passionate about their fandom and very passionate about their team. Then you're playing at Vanderbilt. At Vanderbilt is your first road SEC game of the year. That should be an easy one for them because Vanderbilt was 2-10. They had a very disappointing year even for Vanderbilt terms. That shows how bad they were. They went like 0-10 in the last 10 games. That was very tough. Then you have South Carolina at home versus South Carolina. I only think that there's very, very, very little of a chance South Carolina actually has in this one, especially Spencer Rattler going to the draft. Unless they just pull out a guy randomly that is as good as Spencer Rattler was, or a defense of some sort, I don't believe Bama's going to have any struggle in this game. Then you have arguably your biggest road test of the year, depending on how you look at it. This second half of everything is definitely more of a test, in my opinion, than the first half. You have Georgia in the first half, but that's the only real one. But after that, you have at Tennessee. Third Saturday in October. Tennessee's losing a lot of talent defensively, but they're gaining a lot offensively. So this team could look a lot like 2021 Tennessee, which if Bama fans remember that, they understand that this would not be no slouch. That team actually beat Alabama. So, yeah. But Tennessee does need a defense of some sort, probably be able to contain Milroe. So it'll be interesting to be able to see what happens. And then you have Missouri. You got home versus Missouri. Missouri, I'm interested. I'm interested if they're going to duplicate what they did this year. And with 10-2, they had a great year. Very great year. Eli Drinkwitz, a great job at being the head coach. Again, Missouri usually gets their best matchups on the road. It's not a good thing for Missouri. Like they had Georgia this year on the road. It's very tough to play against. I think Bama will have a very good chance in this one, but don't count out Missouri because they almost beat Georgia, and we know how good Georgia is. Then you have the bye week. And then you're at LSU. At LSU will be a fun matchup. They're not going to have Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is off to the draft. Jaden Daniels gave some of them fits this year. But LSU got to find a defense. I'm not sure how they're going to find their defense, but they got to find it because if they don't have a defense, they're not going to really beat many of these great teams because they lost to Florida State and an offense that could slow LSU's offense down a bit. They lost to Ole Miss, which actually just outscored them. And then Bama, which Bama was able to hold them for the last quarter pretty much. That's all. And then you have Mercer. You're at home versus them. That's pretty simple. And then you're at Oklahoma. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be a fun matchup. First official test for Alabama against one of these two new schools in the SEC. Officially when they joined the SEC. Of course, Bama's played Texas twice in the past 2 years, possibly 3 times, depending on what happens in these bowl games. But when they join the SEC, you're going to be at Oklahoma. Don't count out this environment. This environment's going to be tough. I think the Brent Venables defense will be good enough. I think they're going to be improving. They got to find a quarterback, though, because Dylan Gabriel left. I was kind of surprised by that. They got to find a quarterback, but if they can run their offense as well as Dylan Gabriel had it, and they can find more of a defense, they will be a tough team to play against. But because they kind of played like Tennessee, they go quick, they rely on the fast-paced tempo to do it, but Dylan Gabriel fit that very well. And if they don't have him, then that's going to cause a lot of issues throughout the team and throughout how they're actually being able to play. And then you have the Iron Bowl. Iron Bowl, anything can happen, but Bama's notoriously been very good at home versus Auburn. The last time they lost there at home versus them was with Cam Newton at Auburn. So that was a long time ago. They're 6-0, 7-0 recently. They should be able to take care of Auburn, especially what they did to them this year. Bama fans will remember that moment for eternity, pretty much. So, yeah, that's my recap of Alabama. If you hear my dog in the background, I'm sorry. She's getting used to being here, so yeah, she might bark a decent amount on here and other videos. Just letting you know that. So yeah, check out my other reviews. I've reviewed Georgia's, I've reviewed Tennessee's, and yeah, I'll be reviewing all the SEC schools and giving my opinions about certain matchups and stuff of that nature. So yeah, put down in the comments what you feel about this stuff. Hope you all have a great day. Stay safe, y'all, and God bless y'all.